Good morning, guys. It is currently Wednesday, and as you know, Mark is away for the week. I've just popped outside because my little friend has come to join me. She didn't visit yesterday because it was raining. In the last episode, you saw Mark pulled out the cupboard for me, and he's left me a long list of jobs that I'm capable of doing, most of which are painting. So that's what I'm doing today. I'm going to get on and do a little bit of painting and see how we go. I started the cabinet yesterday. I think it's going pretty well so far. And I'm glad to see my little friend today because I might actually let her inside the house. Because I ate breakfast with a friend yesterday, and it wasn't you. Hence the reason why we're trying to rush to get the kitchen sealed. We've got a mouse or something in the kitchen currently. So I might just let her in and let her have a wander around in the kitchen. She's well behaved, so I don't think she'll stray. Will you? Mark won't know. Not until he sees this video. She won't even come in when I want her to. She doesn't think she's allowed. She's definitely picking up the scent of something. It's not like she's just come in and jumped straight up on the sofa. Well, that didn't work. So I popped her back outside before she gets too comfortable. But in all fairness, I haven't seen or heard it this morning, so it could have made its own way out. I'm just going to flip you around and show you what the current state of my hallway looks like. Because obviously we brought the cabinet in and it didn't get moved. It's just kind of right in the middle, in the way. So I'll show you what I'm working with. So it's a bit of a squeeze in here currently. I managed to sand everything yesterday and put a primer coat on because it was veneer underneath. I've also taken the top off because we want to see if we can save some of the wood grain look and keep it looking like wood on top rather than painting over it. I've had to fill in this little damaged area. And I've tried to fill it in down the sides as well, so that'll need drying and sanding before I can get on to painting that. As part of the cabinet restoration, these handles came off, and I was going to just do my good old normal trick of painting them up with Hammerite. We like Hammerite because we like the effect it gives, but I tried painting one and I noticed the paint wasn't really sticking, and it's gone on kind of textured. So I thought if I just give them a sand, it might rough up the surface a little bit and the paint will hold better. So I gave it a sand, and it's surprising what a piece of sandpaper can do, because that is just years of built up dirt and oil and grease. I think this cabinet came out of a workshop. So, I mean, it makes sense. And it just comes off. Dead easy. So, That's the hammerite redundant. I'm sure that there's a proper way of doing this, but it kind of looks like brushed bronze, which I'm here for. We have a lot of bronze features around the house. I remember from school, I think, oh my goodness. I think you're supposed to use like wet and dry sandpaper for metal. But obviously we're using what we got on hand. The backs don't tend to clean up quite as nicely. They'll be more textured on this side. But to be honest, if I can get them like looking like that, I'm pretty happy with that. So that's the first coat on the cabinet done. And whilst it's drying, I'm going to go upstairs and see if I can start work on another paint job. So you may remember from the hallway videos that when we was up in the hallway we painted all the doors. But in true Mark and Anisha style, we didn't quite finish them. So they all need touching up around the edges, and also we don't put everything on camera. So we only painted what you could see. So all 3 doors need finishing off, and none of the doors have any handles on. Okay, so all 3 of the upstairs doors now have had a big, thick, sloppy coat of paint. This door was by far the worst in terms of texture, purely because we tried to use paint stripper on it, and the paint stripper over here is horrendous. It barely did anything. So that's it. That's the best I can do, and at least now with the thick coat of paint on it I can go back over and sand any of the texture without overexposing myself to lead paint. And yeah, I mean the paint's not going away just yet because we have got another job, but I'm not going to bore you with that today. Or myself, to be honest. But I will show you, definitely. So as you saw last week, Mark managed to get the lintels in before he left. And we also found this window, which we thought would be a good little space filler. When we come back from the UK, we hope to be able to get UPVC French doors in this space. That was always the plan. But for the time being, we needed something as like a space saver so that we can totally seal this wall off from the elements over winter. Obviously the wall behind is going to be staying for the short term, but it still needs to be totally sealed, because just as yesterday proved, things still can get in and will still get in. And it's a bit gutting because it's middle of summer, we don't normally have this problem at this point in the year. So I don't know why it will have come in. And it's just kind of ironic that we're so adamant on getting it sealed totally and something manages to pop in just before. But anyway, back to the story. So we found these. They just so happen to almost fit perfectly. They're just slightly too tall. So that's not an issue because we're not going to have them as a functioning door. It is just going to be screwed shut. It is just literally just a space saver. But again, it's lead paint, so we want to limit our exposure and we want it to look nice whilst it's in place. So this is another job on the list for me. And I mean, I joke about Mark leaving me all these jobs, but the reality is that I want to, and I am going to do as much as I possibly can to make the house either nice for us when we get back or safer for us when we get back. That's the key. That's the most important thing. So I'm working through my own list and trying to contribute wherever I possibly can. But like I say, that's it for today. Painting wise, I don't want to pick up another paintbrush for a week. I need to take a bin out. Normally I would just put it in the dustbin outside, but I think I'm going to take a walk to the nearest shared bin, just because it's a nice walk and it's quite nice outside and I can get some fresh air. It's not too far. I don't tend to stray far on my own without Mark. I get a little bit anxious about the thought of being confronted by a Bulgarian. Mark's much better at conversational Bulgarian than I am. I can't do it. So I'm going to take a walk, get this rubbish away from the house, and yeah. It is just stunning out here. This is right on our doorstep. I'm not sure if you can see some wild horses grazing. I think I'm losing quality now. And this is the edge of the village, so we're just down over there. So I just thought I'd come and pop out in the garden, see what I can gather. The garden it really is starting to fall by the wayside by this point. Since we decided we were coming back to the UK, we just kind of gave up on it, which is a shame because we put so much effort in towards the start of the year. But we've had to prioritise doing the house. So, I mean, we rely on the rain to water the garden and we're at the point where it's just, let's just take what comes. And it is still producing. You can still see some tomatoes. We did have rain just a couple of days ago, so I'm going to see what I can collect. I'm actually incredibly impressed with what I've just got out of the garden. It's surprising how well the plants are hanging on, despite the odds being stacked against them. But it's quite shocking, really, because we had rain literally yesterday and the ground is totally dry. So it makes me want to take a little bit more care of them. It's quite sad to see them just slowly die. Even though we might not get to see the fruits of our labour. But then again, the amount that's just come out, I can't complain. So I'm going to make some pizza with some of the fresh produce, and it has to be focaccia bread. For some reason, it's something that I dreamt up about 2 weeks ago. I want to make focaccia bread pizza. So I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. So today's the day. I'm going to make some. I feel like something's gone wrong. I'm not sure it's supposed to behave like that. So I've ended up adding some more flour. I still don't think this is bread dough consistency, but I'm going to stick it outside in the warm, see if it rises. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. So literally everything here has come out of our garden. That's a cool feeling. Let's give these a wash. Let's check on this bread. Oh dear. I actually really don't think it's turned out as bad as I originally thought. So I think I might try and knead it. Oh, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be focaccia, that's for sure. God knows what it is. But I don't mind, to be honest. I just want pizza now. Okay, I'm going to get my hands in. Says if it sticks to your hands, wet it with water. I I'm gonna opt for flour. So I've portioned them off. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I am still hoping for some sort of focaccia. I've left the one for my pizza plain, and this one's got rosemary and tomatoes. And to be honest, I'm not very hopeful. We'll just see what they do. I'm just going to let them rise for a little bit before sticking them in the oven. that's the sauce done. The bread still hasn't amounted to anything, but it's going in the oven regardless because I'm having this pizza. Are we ready for the big reveal? Look at that. I purposely didn't show you me taking the bread out the oven because it's stuck to the bottom of the pan and I thought this is just the biggest flop ever. But I've put the toppings on and it's ready to go in the oven now. And cheese is such a luxury. This is a real treat. It's one of the things over here that actually costs more here than it does in the UK. So we don't often buy cheese. So this is a real treat for me tonight. So that's pretty much it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed seeing what I get up to. Next week we'll be back to normal. Mark will be home. Thank goodness. I found it really difficult, especially the first few days. We've been together for 6.5 years and to live together for coming up to 7. And out of those 7 years, the past 2 years we've lived side by side. We eat, drink, sleep, work, all in each other's pockets. He's like an extra limb. So it was strange. I've started to get used to it now, but I'm still looking forward to him coming home. So I hope you've enjoyed watching my shenanigans. And we'll catch up with you next week. Oh, and I'll definitely update you on the cabinet, how that goes. Excuse me whilst I take myself on a little dinner date. Ciao for now.